Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to have a nice, slow conversation with you about the new year, and I am so happy you are here with me. If you are new here, please remember to subscribe because it really helps me create more content for you. I am feeling fantastic today because I had a very nice morning where I drank coffee and listened to some relaxing music. I feel relaxed and maybe a little sleepy because I stayed at home this weekend. I watched movies and slept for 10 hours on Saturday, which was exactly what I needed. Now I feel full of energy and ready to talk about the past year and my plans for the next year. Let us begin by talking about New Year's Eve. I want to share with you what I did on that special night. I went to a friend's house for a gathering. It was not a huge wild event, but a small party with about 10 people, the atmosphere was incredibly cozy and warm because my friend has a big fireplace in their living room. We sat around the fire and talked for a long time, catching up on our lives and enjoying the warmth. We also played some simple card games, which were a lot of fun, even though I did not win every time. I think I won one game, but lost two others, but it did not matter because it was just for fun and laughter. We also ate many delicious snacks. We had chips and dips and small sandwiches that were perfect for sharing. The food was simple, but very tasty, and it kept us happy while we waited for midnight. When the time finally came, we did the countdown together. At midnight, we all stood up and watched the clock on the television. We shouted 10, 9, 8 and counted all the way down until we shouted Happy New Year together. It is such a nice tradition to share that moment. I did not drink champagne that night because I was driving later, so I chose to drink sparkling juice instead. It was sweet and bubbly and felt very festive without the alcohol. I truly enjoy these kinds of intimate celebrations where the focus is on connection and friendship rather than loud music or crowds. It gave me a sense of belonging and warmth that is so important when closing one chapter. The fireplace crackling and the sound of my friends laughing made the night unforgettable. I felt grateful to be surrounded by good people and good food as we welcomed the new year. Even though I was a bit tired from the week, the energy of the party woke me up and made me feel alive. I remember looking around the room and thinking how lucky I was to have these moments. The sparkling juice was a perfect toast to new beginnings, and the cozy environment made me. It was a gentle way to say goodbye to the old year and hello to the new one. I think that celebrating with a small group allows for deeper conversations and more meaningful interactions, which is something I value very much. As I drove home later that night, I felt a sense of peace and excitement for what was to come. The streets were quiet, but I knew that all over the world people were celebrating just like we did. I want to continue sharing my New Year experiences because sometimes I celebrate in a very different way. There was another New Year's Eve where my night was very quiet and I was not at a party at all. I stayed at home and it was a very calm and lovely evening. I was not alone because I was with my partner and we decided to make it a special night in. We cooked dinner together, which is something we made a delicious tomato pasta with fresh basil, and the smell of the herbs filled the entire kitchen. We also made garlic bread to go with it, and it was crunchy and buttery. Instead of sitting at the dining table, we decided to be comfortable and ate on the sofa while watching television. We watched the fireworks from the city on the screen, and they were beautiful with many bright colors lighting up the sky. However, my cat Pepper was not enjoying the fire. She was very scared of the loud noises and hid under the bed for most of the night. Poor Pepper just wanted some peace and quiet, so we tried to comfort her. Despite the scared cat, our evening was very calm and it was perfect in its own way. There was no party and no stress, just good food and relaxation. Now, let us talk about New Year's Day, which is the first day of the year. On this day, I always try to do something fun or healthy to set a good tone. This year I woke up very late, around 11 in the morning. It was very late for me, but I think it is okay to sleep in on a holiday. After I finally woke up and had some breakfast, I went for a long walk. I walked in the park near my house and it was a wonderful experience. The air was cold and fresh and it felt like a new beginning or a clean start for the new year. I really love that feeling of crisp winter. The park was not very busy, but there were some people walking their dogs. Everyone seemed to be in a good mood and people smiled and said Happy New Year to each other as they passed by. It sounded very friendly and warm and it made me feel connected to my community. My New Year's Day also started with an important connection to my family. The very first thing I did in the morning was make a phone call to my parents. I called them to wish them a Happy New Year. They were very happy to hear from me, and we talked for a while about our hopes for the coming year. I think calling family is such a sweet and necessary tradition to start the year off right. It reminds us of the people who love and support us. So my new year started very well with a mix of rest, nature, and family connection. It was quiet, but it was very good and meaningful. I felt refreshed after my long walk, and my heart felt full. I believe that how you spend the first day of the year can influence how you feel for the rest of it. So I am glad I chose to be healthy and connected. The contrast between the quiet night at home and the fresh morning walk gave me a sense of balance. I felt ready to face the new challenges and opportunities that the year would bring. It is these simple moments like cooking pasta or walking in the park that often I realize that I do not need a grand celebration to feel happy. I just need good food, fresh air, and the people I love. This realization made me feel very content and peaceful as I looked forward to. Now, let us shift our focus from the past to the future, because talking about what comes next is often the most exciting part of the New Year conversation. We need to talk about our plans and hopes for the next year, and specifically about New Year's resolutions. A resolution is not just a casual thought, but it is a promise you make to yourself for the new year. It is a commitment to improve your life in some way, whether it is breaking a bad habit. For example, this year I have decided that my resolution is to read more books, because I feel that I've been spending far too much time scrolling through my phone. I want to replace that screen time with something more meaningful. So I have set a very specific goal to read one book every month. This means I will read 12 books in 1 year, which I think is a challenging. I have thought carefully about what kind of books I want to read, because if I choose books that are too difficult, I might give up. I plan to read easy English books, like short stories or graded readers, because they are good for my vocabulary and they are actually fun to read. Reading should be a pleasure and not a struggle, so choosing the right level is very important. I also want to balance this by reading 1 or 2 difficult books in my own language to stimulate. This plan feels perfect to me because it mixes learning with enjoyment. However, I also have another resolution that is quite different from reading and involves working with my hands. My second resolution is to learn how to cook 5 new meals. I know that 5 sounds like a very specific number, but I like specific goals because they are easier to measure. If I just said I want to cook better, that would be too vague and I would not. By saying 5 new meals, I can plan to learn 1 new dish every 2 or 3 months, which gives me plenty of time to practice until I get it right. I want to be able to invite friends over and cook these meals for them, but I admit that I am a little nervous about it. I will need a taste tester to tell me if the food is delicious, or if I have made a deal with myself that if the food is good, we will eat it and celebrate my success, but if it is bad and I burn everything, then we will just order pizza. Having a backup plan, like ordering pizza, takes the pressure off and makes the process of learning to cook much more fun and less stressful. I think that is the key to sticking to a resolution. You have to make it enjoyable and allow yourself to make mistakes. Whether it is reading 12 books or cooking 5 meals, the most important thing is that these goals help me grow and bring new experiences into my life. I am really looking forward to the sense of accomplishment I will feel when I finish that 12th book or serve that 5th perfect meal. These resolutions are my way of taking control of my year and ensuring that I am constantly learning. And it is not about being perfect, but about making progress and enjoying the journey of self-improvement. While resolutions are often about discipline and self-improvement, we also need to talk about other plans that are simply about enjoyment and exploring the world. Aside from my goals to read and cook, I have some exciting travel plans for the upcoming year because I feel like I have stayed in my city. I really want to travel more this year, and it does not have to be a huge trip around the world to be meaningful. Even small trips can refresh your spirit, so I am thinking about visiting a new city within my own country, or perhaps exploring nature. I realize that I often forget how beautiful my own country is because I am so busy with my daily life. I have a specific place in mind, and that is I am dreaming of a trip to the high mountains where I can see snow-capped peaks and vast forests. Interestingly, I want to go in the summer rather than the winter. Many people prefer the mountains for skiing, but I love the idea of green trees, fresh air, and maybe swimming in a cold, clear lake. I want to escape the heat and noise of the city and find some peace in nature. The thought of hiking on a quiet trail and breathing in that crisp mountain air makes me feel happy. However, I also have a different kind of travel plan that is motivated by friendship. I want to visit my old friend Anna, who lives in another country now. I have not seen her for 2 years, and although we talk on video calls, it is not the same as seeing someone in person. Visiting friends is one of the best reasons to travel because it combines the joy of seeing a new place with the warmth of reconnecting. I am currently saving money for the plane ticket because international travel can be expensive, but I know it will be worth every penny. I am really looking forward to giving her a hug and catching up on everything we have missed. This brings me to a very useful English phrase, which is looking forward to. We use this phrase all the time to describe that feeling of happiness and excitement about. When I say I am looking forward to my trip, it means I am thinking about it with a smile and I can feel the anticipation building. It is a great phrase to use because it spreads positivity. The grammar is also important to remember because after looking forward to, we always use a noun or a verb ending in ing. So I can say, I am looking forward to the summer, or I'm looking forward. Having things to look forward to is what keeps us motivated during the boring or difficult days of the year. Whether it is a big trip to another country to see a friend or a simple summer escape to the mountains, these plans give me hope and energy. They remind me that there are beautiful experiences waiting for me if I plan for them. I am also looking forward to the results of my cooking resolution, even though I think that feeling of mixed nervousness and excitement is a good sign that I am pushing myself out of my comfort zone. So as I look at the year ahead, I see a mix of hard work through my resolutions and wonderful rewards through my travel plans. It feels like a balanced and exciting year as well. Turning our attention to our professional lives and personal growth, I believe it is essential to balance our fun plans with goals that help us advance in our careers. This year, I have decided that I do not want to stay stagnant in my professional life, so I'm planning to learn a new skill that is practical and relevant to the modern world. I have been thinking about this for a while, and I realize that technology is changing so fast. Therefore, my plan is to learn how to create simple videos and edit photos because visual communication is becoming increasingly important in almost every career field. I think having the ability to edit videos will not only be good for my resume, but it will also allow me to express my creativity in a digital format. I am actually quite excited about the idea of taking raw footage and turning it into a compelling story. It feels like a very smart plan that will pay off in the future, and maybe I can even use this skill to help with creative projects or social media channels. Alongside this technical skill, I am also committed to continuing my English studies every single day. I know that learning a language is a marathon and not a sprint, so I am focusing on consistency rather than intensity. Just studying a little bit every day is the best way to ensure that I keep improving. However, work and study are not everything, and I feel a strong need to balance my time in front of the computer with something tactile and real. That is why I want to start a new hobby that involves working with my hands. After sitting at a desk all day, I crave the feeling of creating something physical, so I have decided to try gardening. Now, I know this might sound ambitious because I live in an apartment and not a house with a big yard, but I've discovered the concept of I have a small balcony that is currently empty, and I think it is the perfect space to grow small flowers and herbs. I can imagine stepping out onto my balcony and picking fresh basil, mint, or rosemary to use in my cooking, which connects perfectly with my other resolution to cook more meals. I am also very intrigued by the idea of growing tomatoes in a pot. I have heard that homegrown tomatoes are infinitely better. Supermarket tomatoes are often hard and tasteless, but a tomato you grow yourself is sweet and juicy and full of flavor. The journey from planting the seed to eating the fruit on my plate sounds incredibly satisfying. I have to be honest though and admit that I know absolutely nothing about plants right now. In fact, I am a little worried because I have not had much success with plants in the past, but I see this as I am ready to buy books about gardening and maybe even watch some tutorials to understand how to take care of them properly. I view this gardening adventure as a project that requires patience and care. I am willing to get my hands dirty carrying heavy bags of soil and learning about water and sunlight. It feels like a healthy and grounding project for the new year. I like the idea of my balcony transforming from a grey, empty space into a green and... Even though I am a beginner, the thought of nurturing a living thing and watching it grow gives me a sense of peace and anticipation. It will be a shared project between me and nature where I provide the care and nature provides the beauty. I believe that having a hobby like this will help me disconnect from the digital world and reconnect with the natural rhythm of life. which is something However, we must be honest and admit that not everything about the future is exciting, and there are certain things I am definitely not looking forward to. The most obvious downside for me is the winter season itself. I know that winter can be beautiful, but I struggle with the intense cold and the short days. I am not looking forward to those freezing mornings where my nose gets red like a reindeer and my hand. The hardest part is definitely waking up when it is still dark outside, because my body just wants to stay under the warm covers. The alarm clock feels like an enemy during the winter months, and dragging myself out of bed requires a lot of willpower. But I try to practice positive thinking, and I remind myself that every bad thing has a good thing attached to it. While I dread the cold air, I absolutely love the feeling of holding a hot cup of coffee. There is something very comforting about wrapping myself in a warm blanket and sipping a hot drink while the world outside is grey and cold. It makes the warmth feel even more special. So even though I am not looking forward to the weather, I will try to focus on those cozy moments that make winter bearable. Now, shifting our thoughts back to the past year, I want to reflect on some of my happiest memories, because it is important to. When I look back, I realize that time flies so incredibly fast. It feels like just yesterday I was starting the year, and now it is already over. One of the best things that happened to me last year was a vacation I took in July. I went to the seaside alone for 3 days, and it was a truly magical experience. I did not do anything exciting or adventurous. Instead, I spent the time reading books, swimming in the ocean, and sleeping on the beach. It was a trip dedicated entirely. I felt a deep sense of peace, listening to the sound of the waves and feeling the sun on my skin. That silence and solitude felt like a luxury in my busy life, and it is a memory I will hold on to for a long time. I think everyone deserves a vacation like that, where the only goal is to find peace. On the other hand, I also have a very positive memory related to my work. The best professional thing that happened last year was finishing a massive project that had been It was a very difficult task that required long hours and a lot of focus. When I finally finished it and submitted the work, I felt an immense sense of pride. It felt like a heavy weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I could finally breathe easily again. My boss recognized my hard work, and simply saying thank you meant the world to me. That feeling of achievement is different from the relaxation of a vacation, but it reminds me that hard work pays off, and that I am capable of handling difficult challenges. Looking back, I can see a mix of peaceful moments and proud achievements, which makes me feel grateful for the year I just had. I also experienced some funny moments when realizing how much time has passed since I met certain friends or started my job. We often say time flies when we are having fun or when we are busy, and looking back at the past year definitely gives me a little happy, a little sad that it is over, but mostly surprised at the speed of life. These memories, both the quiet ones at the beach and the loud triumphs at work, form the foundation for my confidence going into the new year. I am ready to create new memories and face the cold winter, knowing that spring will. Life is not always perfect, and I think it is important to be honest about the difficult moments we faced in the past year as well. We often focus only on the highlights, but sharing our struggles makes our stories more real and relatable. For me, a particularly difficult time last year was back in February when I got very sick. I caught a terrible cold, or perhaps it was the flu, and I was out of action. It was a challenging time because I had a fever and a headache, and I felt incredibly weak. I spent days just lying on the sofa watching television, and while that might sound relaxing for a day or two, doing it for 2 weeks because you are in pain is not fun at all. It reminded me that health is truly the most important thing we possess, and losing it even temporarily throws everything else off balance. Another difficult moment for me was saying goodbye. It was a blue car that I had owned for many years, and even though it was old and made funny noises, I really loved it. We had been on so many adventures together, from camping trips to long road drives, and it felt like losing a loyal friend when the engine finally stopped working. It died right on the highway, which was quite scary and sad. However, change can be good even if it is. I eventually bought a new small car which is much safer and more reliable, so I am learning to appreciate the upgrade while still missing my old companion. Moving forward from these challenges, I want to talk about having a big dream plan for the future. A dream plan is different from a normal plan because it is a big hope that might take a long time to achieve. My dream plan is to save money for a very big trip to another continent. I know I cannot go next year because it is too expensive, but I am saving money now so I can go the year after next. This requires delayed gratification and responsibility, but having such a big goal keeps me motivated to work hard and save. I also have a personal dream related to communication, which is to speak English more confidently. Even though I can speak well, sometimes my mind feels empty, like a blank page when I try to find the right word. It gets stuck. And my dream is to be able to think in English faster without translating in my head. And I know this will take time and practice. Alongside these big dreams, I also believe in the power of small plans, because big plans can sometimes feel overwhelming. A small plan is easy to think about and easy to do, which gives you a quick sense of accomplishment. For example, my small plan for next week is simply, I do not even know what I will watch yet, but just the plan to go eat popcorn and relax is enough. I also have a small plan to buy a plant for my balcony to start my gardening hobby. I have decided to name my first plant Greenie. It might sound silly to name a plant, but I think it makes the connection stronger. Greenie will be the start of my green. Balancing these big dreams like international travel with small actionable plans like buying a plant or going to the movies makes the future feel exciting rather than scary. It gives me a clear roadmap for the year ahead, filled with both ambition and... As we reach the end of this conversation, I want to take a moment to slow down and consolidate everything we have discussed, because we have covered a lot of ground today. It is very helpful to review the vocabulary and concepts to make sure they stick in our minds. We started by talking about a New Year's resolution, which is a strong promise you make to yourself to improve your life, whether it is exercising more or reading books, a resolution. We also practice the phrase looking forward to, which is one of my favorites. Remember that this phrase expresses happiness and excitement about the future, and it is always followed by a noun or a verb ending in ing. For instance, I am looking forward to the weekend, or I'm looking forward to seeing you. It is a polite and positive way to end emails. We also discussed the concept of a dream plan, which gives us long-term motivation, and the idiom time flies, which describes that surprising feeling when time passes too quickly. Additionally, we learned the word cozy to describe a warm and comfortable feeling, and the word countdown, which is the excitement of counting backwards before a big event. Finally, we talked about the importance of saving money, which means keeping it for a future goal. These are all very practical words that you can use in your daily life. Grammatically, we also navigated through different time periods. When we talked about the past, we used the past simple tense to tell stories about what we did and how we felt. It is crucial to be comfortable using the past tense to share your experiences. When we moved to the future, we avoided using will for our plans and instead used phrases like I am going to or I plan to. This is a subtle, but we generally use will for sudden decisions made at the moment of speaking, whereas going to and plan to show that we have thought about it beforehand and have a clear intention. Using these phrases makes your English sound more natural and structured when discussing your goals. Now, before we part ways, I have a question for you to consider. What is one small plan you have for next month? I ask for a small plan because, as I mentioned earlier, small steps are... It could be something as simple as calling a friend, cleaning your closet, or learning 5 new words. I encourage you to think about this and perhaps write it down to make it real. Writing your goals is a powerful exercise that reinforces your commitment. Learning a language is very much like life itself. It is a long and fun journey full of ups and downs. There will be days when you feel confident and days when your mind feels empty, but that is all. You are amazing for showing up and practicing, and you should be kind to yourself when you make mistakes, because that is how we learn. I am very happy to be a small part of your journey, and I hope that our conversation today has given you some inspiration and tools to express your own story. I look forward to hearing about your small plans and your big dreams. Thank you for spending your time with me today and for letting me share my thoughts. I wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and a truly wonderful year ahead, filled with cozy moments, exciting plans, and personal growth. Goodbye for now, and keep practicing.